Welcome all for the session of encapsulation, right? So we'll understand what is encapsulation today and why do we use encapsulation and how encapsulation works in Python. Basically, we understood that whenever I say an object-oriented principle, there are three pillars of object-oriented principle, which we call it as polymorphism, and we call it as inheritance. This is polymorphism. Then we have inheritance and encapsulation. These are three pillars of OOPS. You take any programming language for that matter, it's not with respect to Python or with respect to Java or C Sharp. These are the main three pillars, okay, which is very important, where most of the coding skills or most of the coding effort of the coders, effort of the developer has been reduced just because of these three concepts, which is called as polymorphism, inheritance, and encapsulation. In our previous sessions, we understood how exactly inheritance would work and what are different type of inheritance and how the concept of inheritance is been implemented in Python. Now let's understand the concept of encapsulation. We call it the concept of encapsulation. As the name says, encapsulation, it is nothing but protecting your data, capping your data. I can say it's capping your data or capping your information or protecting your information. We call it as encapsulation. Okay, so what when I say protecting your data, what it means? It means to say that avoiding your data to be exposed, or else I say that making your data very secured or making your data protected. The most information data, protect your data and do not make them to view for everyone. Okay, let's take this with an example rather than just speaking with the programming world. I'll just take an example. So let us say that you are working in a bank. Let us say that you're working in a bank now and you're a customer of the bank. Okay, customer of the bank. I say that if you want to see actually, if you want to see the rate of interest what the bank gives, this rate of interest is available for the public. Even while walking in front of the SBI bank, let me take an example of SBI bank. Okay, while walking in the SBI bank, you can see outside they say rate of interest is like around 8% for housing loan or something like that. Or say if you fix some fixed deposit, okay, you fix some fixed deposit, your fixed deposit, the rate of interest would be 6%, something like this. Okay, it's for public. Public mean to say that everyone can see this. Let me say I have one more data or one more variable, which is something called as account number. Okay, so you are a public, you go and ask something like, can you tell me that Ramesh's account number? Do you think the bank people will tell you the account number directly? No, right? If you want to call for the account number, this account number will be visible only for two people. That is for the account holder. That is for the account holder who holds that account, and for his friends. He can give that. He can transfer his friends, or else I can say for the bank employees. For the bank employees, because if you want to fetch some report or something like that, okay, these people can fetch that. So for the bank employee and for the account holder, the information is available. Okay, so this account number has limitations. It is not like public so that everyone can see. Let me say that the balance of the person, balance what he has maintained. Okay, lot of the times if you want to look into the balance, this balance is not available even for the bank employees, right? Because is that, if they want to really understand the balance, they can't see all the transactions. Okay, mean to say that this is very confidential to the customer. Confidential. If I am a customer of SBI Bank or the State Bank of India, let me say, okay, but it's a State Bank of India, then basically you see that balance what we have does not have a lot of restrictions. It is visible only for the very limited people. But when it's an account number, it is limited to the people, not for everyone, not for public. But when it's a rate of interest, it's available for public. So while writing my program, how to actually define like this? This is a very good question, right? So in general, in terms of real world, we understood, oh yes, this is true. But how can we actually work with programming? How exactly it's been captured while working with the programming? We have the concept of encapsulation. Okay, so in other programming languages, like we have some concept called as access specifiers. There's something called as access specifiers. We can specify the access for the variables and functions. I told you every class have two things. One is the data, other one is behavior, which is called state and behavior. We can call it as state and behavior, right? So it can be state and behavior, or we can call data and functions. Okay, so both for the functions and the data, okay, we can set the access specifiers. What do you mean by access specifiers? That is, you can restrict the access for the functions also, you can restrict the access for the data also. What do you mean by restricting an access? I mean to say, let me say that I have something like class A. Okay, this is class A. Okay, in the class A, you have some confidential information called as password, and you have some information called as account number. Okay, and you have something called as B, class B, or a person B. Let me say person A, person B. You have your own account number and you have your internet banking password. Is this person B? The person B is your friend. You're inheriting. He's inheriting all his features. Like, you can give him, since you are a friend, you trust him and you give all the features. What will you give? You give your account number, right? You give your account number, but you will not give your password. You will not give your password because it's very confidential. It has to be restricted only for you. This has to be restricted only for you. But in the case of account number, yes, you can give it to your friend. Let me say there's some public called as C. He's not your friend. Okay, he's not your friend. You don't even know him. For him, you don't even give your account number. So he's a public. So account number is also not visible. The password is also not visible. Provided he'll ask you, what's the rate of interest given in that bank? That you can say because it's a public. It's a public. Rate of interest of the bank you can say. But the account number you can't say because he is not your friend or you don't know him. Password, no way, because you're not even sharing with your friend. That is, in this one you can understand there are three scenarios, right? One is the public. Other one is private only for you, which is private. The last thing is protected. So these are three important access specifiers present in Python. But in the case of other programming languages like Java, we do have some access specifier called as default. Okay, let's not worry about the same in Python. In Python, when we say we have three different access specifiers, we have public, we have private, and we have protected. So what you mean by public? Visible for everyone. This is accessible for everyone. So what is private? Private mean to say that this access is limited only for you. Okay, only for you. Only for you when I say only for a class. Only for the particular class it is accessible. So what is public? Everyone can access. It can be one class or the other class or the complete file or the other files also for everyone. What is protected? It is accessible for the class and for the friends class, or mean to say that for the derived class. That is a base class and this is a derived class. So the protected members can be accessed for the base class and the derived class. The private member can be accessed only for the class, that's it, not for anything else. Public is accessible for everyone. It might be for functions also, it might be for the variables also. So on the whole, if you want to revise, what we can say is, whenever you have the access specifiers, there are three type of access specifiers, which is called as public, private, and protected. So how the class would be? So when I put a chart over here, so let me say when I put a chart here, there are three different access specifiers, which is public and private, public, private, and the last one is protected. So we have public, private, and protected. So when we see the access specifiers, the protected access specifier is what we have. The protected access specifier is visible only within the file and outside the class. Within the file, outside class. Private member, I mean to say that it is visible only within the class. Public member, within the file, within the class, outside the file also. Outside file. What do you mean by outside file? I'll tell with this an example. Let me say that we have something called as one.py, or let me say with bank.py. Okay, bank.a.py. This is a Python file, bank.a.py. In bank.a.py, you have something called as rate of interest, and it is public. I'll tell you how to define public, private, protected when we go to practicals. Okay, provided I'll just try to understand here. So then scenario, how it is used. This in bank.a.py, the file by name bank.a.py, we have something called as rate of interest, and we have something called as bank.d.py. Bank.d.py. Now what I do is, if I download this bank.a.py, this becomes a module. I mean to say, every .py file in Python is considered as module. I want you to understand. Every individual .py files. For example, I have something like one.py. What do people open in Jupyter Notebook? Okay, it will be opened by .ipynb, this Jupyter Notebook file. But you have an option in Jupyter Notebook to download as .py file. I want people to download as .py file. Once when you download as Python file, that becomes a module. So something like 1.py, 2.py, 3.py, all these are the individual modules present inside. So 1.py is one module, 2.py is one more module, 3.py is one more module. Now what I do is I have something called 4.py. In 4.py actually I can import 1.py, 2.py, 3.py. When I import this 1, 2, 3, what happens is all the functions and variables which is public inside 1.py, inside 2.py, 3.py will be accessed even to 4.py. I will repeat. You have three files: 1.py, 2.py, 3.py. We have three different files. In 1.py is a Python file. There is having something called as state and behavior, mean to say there will be data also, there will be functions also, and that functions and data can be private, protected and public. Okay, in this 1.py, whichever is public, these public variables and public functions can be accessed even to 4.py. Oh, is it? Then how about private and protected? No. Since it is public, it can be accessed outside the module. If it is private, it is accessible only within the class, which is a base class, and the parent class. Base class and the child class. Because it is private, it is protected. Private, it is only limited to the class. So 1.py, 2.py, 3.py, whatever the public functions and the public variables are there, all those can be accessed for 4.py also, because I'm importing this. Okay, so mean to say that what is module? Module mean to say every individual Python file is considered as module. That's it. So, but when I work in Jupyter Notebook, it is not downloaded as .py. You need to externally download as .py file, because when I download, usually you get it as IPYNB, this is Jupyter Notebook format. But if you download as .py file, that becomes the module. You can just upload that module, and whatever the functions and the variable which are public inside that module can be accessed for the other files also. On the whole, what we need to understand is the access specifiers in Python are of three types, which is public, private and protected. Okay, the public mean to say which is the variables which are public, the functions which are public are visible everywhere. It might be in the inside the file, or it can be in the other file also, within the class, outside the class also. When I say something called as private, it is accessible only within the class, not even outside the class. Even though you are a parent, if I am a base parent, if a parent and you are a child, you can't even access it. But what is protected? Protected mean to say you are accessible inside the class and you are accessible outside the class, since you are my friend. That is, I am a parent and you are a child. Okay, so it is accessible for you. That is mean by protected. But protected variables are also cannot be accessed outside the files. I mean to say that the public, there is no restrictions at all. The private, the restrictions are very high. But protected, the restrictions are there, but not to the extent of private. This is what we need to understand about the access specifiers. We will see the practicals in detail so that you'll get a clarity of how exactly to work on this access specifiers and what you mean by data encapsulation. Let's understand practically how the encapsulation would work. I'll start creating a class by name, let me say class hello or class bank. The class bank, I'll be creating three variables. The variables would be something like account number, and I'll make account number as protected. Account number is protected. How to make the variables protected in Python? Just put single underscore. When I put a single underscore before a variable, it becomes protected in Python. Simple. There is no keyword called private, protected or public. What you can follow is, you can follow something like single underscore. If you put a single underscore before the variable, it means to say that that variable is protected. So the account number is protected. So I'll say account number. Okay, then I say something like 989898, something like this. Then I'll create one more variable by name balance. Balance is private. Okay, so when you want to define a private variable, put double underscore. Okay, so I'll write balance. I want you to understand, single underscore mean to say protected, double underscore mean to say private. So the balance is private, so let me say the balance is somewhere around 9000. Then we have the rate of interest. I told rate of interest is public, visible for everyone. So I say ROI, which is the rate of interest. Then I say 8. Okay, so rate of interest is public. If it is public, then no access specifier required. Just define it. That's enough. Okay, so now we created three variables, which is account number, balance, rate of interest. Now I'll create one function. Let me say the function is def display details. Okay, so def display details. I'll create a function display details. Let's follow the rules or definition. Okay, display details. Fine. And we know whenever we define a function inside a class, the first argument has to be self, right? So now I'll try to print. I'll say print account number, right? I say account number is, then I say self dot account number. Why self dot account number? We know this very well, right? Because this belongs to this particular class. I am the account number of this particular class. So I say self dot account number. Okay. Then I say print balance. Balance is, then I say self dot balance. Okay. Then it's a print rate of interest. Okay. Rate of interest is, then I say self dot ROI. We run this and I'll create an object of bank. I say B is equal to bank, an object of the bank. Okay. So when I create an object of a bank, since there is no init constructor here, okay, no need to pass any argument because we don't have any constructor here, so there is no argument. So people who are not understood about constructor, please visit my previous videos to understand about the constructor carefully. Okay, so we have B is equal to bank. Then I create an object. I create an object of bank. Then I say B dot. Then I say display details. Display details. So it says account number is so and so, balance is 9,000, rate of interest is 8. Good, makes sense. Now what I do is I say class. Okay, then I say some other bank. Let me say bank 1. This is bank, this is just a bank. I say other bank. Okay, other bank. A class by name other bank. This other bank, what I'll do is I inherit bank. That is, I'm trying to get all the features of bank. This is, let me say this bank is something like SBI and this bank is HDFC. So HDFC bank people will say we need to access few details of your customers. Okay, will you give? So that we say okay, we'll give you the details. We are sharing you the details. So this becomes a base class and this becomes a child class. So other bank is importing bank. I mean it's inheriting bank. Okay. Now what I'll say here is I say diff. Then I say display details. I did the same function, display details. Then I say self. Okay, I'll copy the same code. Let's not waste our time typing once again. Okay, I don't think so there's any indentation errors. Okay, let's try to run this. Okay, now I'll create an object of other bank. I say O is equal to other bank. Then I say O dot display details. O dot display details. I call the function. We run this. Oh, account number is 9898. Yes, I'm getting that. But it says other bank object has no attribute balance. Oh, but the balance is there, no? Okay, let me comment this and then check. Okay, I'll just comment this. I'll recreate once again. Oh, rate of it is also coming. But balance? No. I told, right? In theory. What is this balance? The balance is a private variable. The balance is a private variable. Account number is protected variable. Rate of interest, public variable. So the protected members can be accessed. The protected member can be accessed for the friend. That is, other bank is a child of bank. So this protected member can be accessed. Account number was able to access. Rate of interest is public. So it is accessible. But private, even though you are a child, you can't access the private members. That's what we need to understand. This is called as private members. Mean to say that you can't access the private members. You can't access the private members even though you are a child class. The parent class features when it is a private variables, you can't access it. This is what we have understood here. See, we was getting an error. I just commented this. I commented self.balance. Now we are getting it fine. Is that making sense? Correct, right? So when you say that, okay, I'll create one more thing. Let me say I'll say class one more bank. I'll create class one more bank. Okay, in this class one more bank, again I say df display details and I'll run this. I create an object of one more bank, and I say O1 is equal to one more bank, and I'll say O1 dot, okay, display details. Let me run this. Oh, it says it has no attribute account number. Oh, is it so? I'll just comment this account number. It says it does not have rate of interest. Why so? Boss, you have created some variable which is there inside a class. The class is having the access specifier, okay, which is a local instance of the class. Either this bank what you have told, okay, this bank what you have inherited here, it is actually a child class, so that I can give you rate of interest and I can give you account number. But when you have something called as other bank, okay, there's something called as other bank or one more bank. The one more bank is not even a friend of mine, is not even a friend of mine, and moreover I don't even know him. Mean to say that why do I have to share my rate of interest? Even though it's a public, even though it's a class variable, I can't give him like directly, because it is there inside the class variable. That is what I wanted to understand. It is there inside a class variable. If you were my friend, then I would have given you. What you would have did is, you can import me, you can download, okay, you can download this particular module, then you can try to access this public access specifier. It is possible, but you have some mention. Let me say that you have something like rate of interest here, okay. This rate of interest you are trying to access, it says I don't have rate of interest. So let me say I'll try to access rate of interest in terms of, I say something like what is the class name, bank. I say bank dot rate of interest. See, you are getting rate of interest. Boss, how come? Self mean to say that you're not mine. You're not mine. You can access the bank rate of interest. It is public, provided it is not self. It is not yours. You don't have that access to access it privately. Mean to say it's not yours. Mean to say it's public. You can access through the bank, not directly. But in the case of this case, self.roi is possible because you were your friend. Other bank, the bank has given him the permission as a friend. He is a parent. Bank is a parent. Other bank is a child. So self.roi is possible. Guys, very, very important to understand. This question basically will be faced in interviews and while doing some projects. Okay. So it's very important because you can't miss these topics. Okay. It's very tricky. It's not so complex, but tricky. You need to understand this. See here, I tried to access with self.roi. It was quite possible. But if I try to access using self.roi, it was not possible. But when I use bank.roi, it was possible. That's what I wanted to show you here, right? So what exactly is happening here? Since ROI is public, okay, so then you mean to say, okay, Vinay, you told us that ROI is whatever we have, rate of interest is 8. You told it's public, it's accessible through the bank. Let me say that this account number underscore AC number. Can I access that? Let me check now. Okay, let's say this ROI. Let it be like this. I'll go here and I'll alter the same. Rather than putting it as self, let me say bank. This becomes very interesting. Let's see now. No, what it says, okay, bank has no attribute ROI. Okay, when a bank has no attribute ROI, account number is 9898. What it means? Okay, ROI, sorry for that. Okay, account number is visible. Why so? Boss, you're same inside there, inside the same file. No, it's there inside the same file. Let me name this file as banking. And it is banking. When there are some protected variables, the protected variables can be accessed within the same file. I want you to understand this. The protected variables can be accessed within the same file. It assumes that everyone are mine. That is, the people who are there in this particular file, we know them. We know them. Okay, okay, provided if you give the access, as a friend, it means that it is our own object. It is self. Okay, but if I do here as self.roi, no, see, it's not possible. But bank.roi, yes, possible. See, that's the capacity what we have. Okay, so whenever we have some variables, we can play around the variables with encapsulation. We can protect the variable, we can hide the data as much as possible. If you have very important variable, then better avoid, make that variable private, so that only what happens in private is only the variables, these variables can be accessed only within the class. You want to give that variable access completely to your friend, then tell him to inherit. If you want to make it accessible only to the particular file, make it as protected. If you say no, I don't mind even though for the other file, make it as public. Oh, you mean to say that this rate of interest is available for the other files also? Of course, yes. I'll show you. The rate of interest is available for the next file also. But you mean to say that account number is protected and you can't access it in other file? No. You can't access it in other files. Because account number is protected, this account number is valid only for this particular file. But when I say balance, the balance is private. It is accessible only within the class. That's the beauty of encapsulation. Okay, so now, okay, like let me download this file. Let me download this banking file. I say now download as, okay, download as .py. Okay, it takes me, okay, this downloaded, and I'll go to new file. Let me create a new file. I say Python, then I'll create a new file. The file, let me say, I'll just upload. I'll upload banking. I downloaded the banking, right? I'll just upload the banking here. I say just upload the banking. Okay, banking got uploaded. I'll just upload the banking here. Okay, and yes, there is it, banking.py. Yes. Okay, so now the new file what I created, I'll just go here and I say import banking. Provided I see if there's no errors, luckily. If not, yes, there's no errors in the file. So I'll just go here and I say import banking as B. Okay, fine. So I'm getting all the details, whatever was there, account number, balance, everything. So in this banking, because why? Because in the banking I just ran all the details here, so I'm just getting all the output there also. Don't worry about that. But my intention was here to tell you, okay, I have B dot, okay, and you know the shortcut here to know the features. We have tab. Okay, just press the tab. Just see what all available. B dot bank. There's an object called as, there's a class called as bank. Okay, bank. In that bank, okay, there are few variables. I need to access that also. Again, press dot and press tab. We have display details, and MRO is different. I'll tell you later. Rate of interest, ROI. Okay, rate of is visible. Okay, Vinay, how about the account number? I told you, no. How can you get the account number? Account number was protected. It is visible only for that particular file. How can you expect account number to be visible here? Rate of interest was public, so it's visible. Got it. Because you can, I'll just show back. See, when I have this banking, in banking ROI is public. So it is whenever I downloaded this file and I'm trying to access this file in a different file, then this rate of interest is accessible. But this account number was not accessible, but account number was accessible everywhere inside this file. Because it is protected. Private, can't even access outside the class. Public, accessible everywhere. This is what I want you to understand. This is what encapsulation. This is a process of encapsulation. Public, private, protected. In the real world, I just showed you in terms of real world. In real world, the same happens. For example, if you want to understand industry application, when I say how it has been used in industry, I share my experience. Okay. So basically, in the same banking example, what we have here, okay, we have few details with respect to TDS details. I mean tax detected by source. Okay, how much of transaction a person has been made per day. Okay, those details must be available for RBI. We need to send a report to RBI. So what we do is the most important details. I don't share the password. I'll make the password as private. Protected, I say something like balance or the transaction amount. I'll make it as protected. So visible for me and for the RBI people. So I make it as protected. And I have some data, something like total number of customers in our bank, which is public. I can show it for everyone. So I mean, I showed you, like this is how we declare the data. Okay, whenever we work on the data sets. Okay, and provided we have one more important topic left out in encapsulation, which is called setter and getter methods, which I'll be discussing. But as of now, I want you to understand whenever there's a data, I mean the same happens for the functions also. I've not taken the example of functions, okay, but the same happens for the functions also. Even the functions, now it is a public function, whatever the public function. We want to make it as private, just like how we did for the variables. We can make the functions also public. I told you both attributes and the state and the behavior, mean to say the attributes and the functions both can be made with an access specifiers. Okay, single underscore mean to say it is protected, double underscore mean to say it is private, no underscore nothing, it is made as a public. This is a concept of encapsulation, what I want you to understand. Revise this topic, take with different examples, and one more example for you. I think I have one more example. Let me say I have defined the same. Okay, class A, which is the single underscore A, double underscore A private, single underscore A, which is 4, and A, which is the class variable. Okay, so protected variable. Okay, so I'll just run this, which is accessible. Okay, self dot A, self dot B, and I created an object of A1 is equal to A. Then I say A1 dot display. Okay, it's private A, protected variable, class variable, local variable. What you mean to say that? So local variable, whenever I say, which is a B here, what I have, the local variable does not require the self to be there. Okay, we can just directly access. When you have a class variable, the self parameter has to be there. The local variable is visible only for this display. It is nowhere accessible outside because it's not a class variable. If it is a class variable, then we can access it outside. But if I say local variable, this local variable is visible only for the display function again. This is what I want you to understand. Or else we need to create an object of class A, then call the display function, then you can access it. Okay, but I mean, as of now, you just understand that. Okay, whenever there's a class variable, you need a self as a access specifier. Okay, so on the whole, this is the concept of encapsulation. Encapsulation means to say data hiding. Okay, protecting the data, which can be private, public, and protected. Okay, so for your better understanding, I'll be forwarding you to both the files. Okay, I mean both the files will be uploaded in our portal. Okay, you can just see, or I mean you can just understand how to work with this file and also with the example of banking, so that you'll get a better clarity how exactly encapsulation will be working. Okay, and we have one more topic, which is setter and getter, which we'll be discussing next.